We're going deep on this one, folks. The aftermath of the Valencia floods. We're going way beyond the headlines this time.
Beyond the headlines, that's right.
Yeah, we've got this CNN article. And it's got details on everything, the disaster itself, the rescue efforts, how volunteers are responding.
It's amazing what's going on with the volunteers.
I know, it's incredible. And get this, there's this whole social media angle that kind of came out of all this that's just...
It's a fascinating aspect.
It really is. So, like we said, we're going to really dig deep and not just look at what happened, but like, how are people coping with all this?
Right, the human element.
Exactly, the human element, and what role has community played in all this, and what questions are still out there.
There's still so many questions.
Oh, tons. So this CNN article, it paints a pretty grim picture. I mean, flash floods hit eastern Spain, and as of November 5th, at least 217 people have been confirmed dead.
Wow.
And there's still 89 missing.
That's a lot of people unaccounted for.
It's a lot. The article describes cars being swept away. I mean, like by the force of the water, just totally submerged in mud.
It really gives you a sense of the sheer power.
It does, like the power behind this flood.
And the devastation.
Exactly, the devastation it caused. And it makes you think about, those numbers are staggering, like you said.
Yes.
But each one of those numbers is a person.
A life.
A life, a story, a whole family that's been forever changed by this.
Absolutely. It's easy to get lost in the statistics.
Right.
But we can't forget the individual stories.
Definitely. And, that brings us to this whole social media thing that's come out of this. It's called Dena Desaparecidos.
Dena Desaparecidos.
Yeah. Have you heard of this?
I have. It's quite remarkable.
It is. So Dena refers to the type of storm that caused all this, and Desaparecidos, that means missing persons in Spanish.
Ah, I see. So they're using the platform to...
Exactly. Families are using this online platform, this page, to try and find their loved ones that just vanished during the floods.
It's a testament to human ingenuity in the face of tragedy.
Isn't it, though?
Using technology like that to connect and seek help.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So the article mentions this one post about a woman named Mila, and she was last seen leaving Picaña to go back home to Silla, but she never made it.
Oh, wow.
And just reading like her family's post, you could just feel the desperation.
The desperation. Yeah, just imagining the anguish of not knowing.
I know.
That constant worry, that sliver of hope battling against the fear of the worst.
Yeah.
It's got to be so psychologically draining.
And that's where community support comes in, right?
Absolutely. It's crucial in times like these.
Yeah, people coming together to offer comfort and help in any way they can.
Exactly. A shoulder to cry on, a helping hand, a listening ear.
Totally. But, there's also a lot of anger.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of frustration that's being directed at the authorities.
I can imagine.
People are saying the response was just way too slow.
Too slow, yeah.
And not enough was done. And they're not afraid to let those in charge know how they feel.
So they're speaking out?
Oh, yeah. This king and queen. They even visited the area.
Oh, really?
And they were met with shouts of murderers. People were even throwing mud at them.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. And it shows you just how deeply people feel let down, right?
It speaks volumes about the perceived failings in the response.
Yeah, it does. Like, why weren't things done faster? Why wasn't there more help there?
Right, and it's important to look into that. Why?
Sure.
To consider what might have caused those delays, because reaching these affected areas during a flood, I mean, that's going to be incredibly challenging.
Logistically, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
There could also be, communication breakdowns.
That's possible.
Not enough resources, maybe even systemic problems that hampered the efforts.
And that lack of trust.
It can have a ripple effect.
It can, beyond the immediate crisis.
Yeah, how people view the authorities.
Exactly, eroding that public trust.
It's tough, but, amidst all this devastation and anger, there's this glimmer of hope.
There is.
The article talks about this wave of volunteers that just showed up to help.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Some even hiked for miles just to get to the affected areas.
Really?
I know.
That's incredible.
It is. And one volunteer said, and I'm quoting this here, "It's amazing how the government says it's not our fault, it's someone else's fault. But at this time, we have to put our hands together and help each other."
That's powerful.
What do you make of that statement?
I think what they're saying is, yeah, there might be blame to go around later, but right now...
It's not the time.
It's not the time.
It's the time to act.
Exactly.
Focus on the action.
Action, not blame.
And that collective effort.
That human kindness.
It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. A bridge between despair and recovery.
It really is.
And we need all the bridges we can get right now.
We do. It's amazing how people find ways to help. And it's not just about, physical help either.
Right.
The DNA Desaparecidos page, it's also connecting people who need stuff like food, shelter, a ride,
Oh, wow.
with the people who can actually give them those things.
That's incredible.
It's like this whole network of support just kind of popped up online organically.
It really speaks to the power of social media
It does.
in these kinds of situations.
It's like the role of social media in disaster response is just,
It's evolving.
it's totally evolving, but it's not perfect.
No, it's not a perfect solution.
Because the article also talks about how there was some like false information going around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about resources that were available. And some people even showed up to volunteer. And it turned out
The need wasn't there.
the need wasn't what they thought it was.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It is.
Misinformation can actually hinder relief efforts.
Totally. It can create chaos when what you really need is organization.
Exactly.
It's like a reminder that we all need to think critically and double-check information.
Especially in these high-stakes situations.
Exactly, where things are changing so rapidly.
Yeah, and to add another layer of complexity,
Oh, there's more.
the article mentions that the region is actually bracing for more rain. Yeah. New weather alerts have been issued, so the danger isn't over yet.
It's like they're getting hit with this 1-2 punch, right? Trying to deal with the devastation that's already there, but knowing that
More bad weather's coming.
more bad weather's probably on the way.
A race against time.
It is a race against time, and it makes you wonder, are we prepared for this kind of thing?
That's a good question.
Because, all that anger we talked about earlier,
Yeah, people yelling at officials.
it suggests that there's this gap.
Between expectation and reality.
Exactly, like between what people expect to happen and
Right.
what actually happens.
Right, it's a wake-up call.
It is.
About our infrastructure, our early warning systems, how we allocate resources when disaster strikes.
Are we really doing enough to prepare?
Or are we just reacting after the fact?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is a tough one.
Tough questions, but they're important.
Yeah, we got to be asking them.
We do, because, like you said, climate-related events like this are
They're becoming more frequent.
more frequent and more intense.
And more intense, exactly.
So what's being done right now?
Well,
The article mentions that the Spanish government's deployed a ton of troops to the region,
oh, wow.
almost 8,000 military personnel.
That's a huge number.
It is, plus they sent a warship
A warship.
with helicopters, boats, supplies.
Wow. That's a significant response.
It is. It shows how big of a deal this is, right?
Yeah, the scale of the impact.
But it's not just about like the big machinery and the manpower.
yeah,
right? The article, it highlights those individual volunteers too.
Yeah, the everyday heroes.
Like this 18-year-old named Pedro de Juan.
Pedro de Juan.
And he said that he just felt like he had to help, even though he'd only ever seen this kind of devastation like in movies before.
That's powerful.
It is. It shows you that individual action.
It matters.
It matters.
Sometimes the most effective response comes from within the community itself.
Totally.
People showing up with whatever they can offer, ready to work alongside the official rescue teams, that's community spirit.
And there's this other quote from a volunteer named Francisco Bosque, and he said, "Frustrating is the word. You feel completely powerless. All you can do is come here and show up." There's so much in that statement.
Yeah, there is that sense of powerlessness in the face of such widespread destruction.
Yeah.
But also that deep need to do something.
To take action
Yeah, to reclaim some sense of control.
when everything feels out of control.
Exactly.
So showing up becomes this kind of victory in itself.
It does. It transforms helplessness into something proactive.
Yeah.
It's a way of saying, I may not be able to fix everything, but I can do this.
So we're seeing this real contrast, right? This backdrop of loss and uncertainty.
Yes.
But also these incredible stories of resilience and community action.
Yeah, it's a powerful juxtaposition.
It is.
Disasters often bring out the best and the worst in humanity.
True.
We see the destructive forces of nature, but we also see that incredible capacity for compassion, selflessness, cooperation.
And it's almost like that's what helps us make sense of the chaos. And it makes you think about social media again and its role in all of this.
Right.
We talked about the pitfalls.
The misinformation, the emotional toll.
But DNA Desaparecidos, it shows us how social media can connect people and spread vital information and get help where it's needed most.
In real time.
Exactly. And the article even mentions that some buses full of volunteers,
Oh, no.
yeah, they had to be turned back
Turn back. Why?
because of the new weather warnings.
Oh, wow. So they're having to pull back.
It's like this constant reminder that the danger is not over yet.
It's not over.
It's
Yep.
just crazy to think about it. Like just days ago, this region was probably bustling with life.
Yeah, going about their day.
Exactly. And now
Facing this
level of loss and disruption.
Yeah, it really puts things into perspective.
It does.
That fragility of life.
Yeah, and how quickly things can change just like that.
In an instant.
It's like we're seeing this raw power of nature firsthand,
It can reshape our world.
Totally reshape it, but
Yeah.
even with all the tragedy that's happening,
Right.
where are these stories of people surviving
Of course, there are always stories of survival.
and communities coming together
That human spirit.
and this determination to rebuild?
It's inspiring.
There is a little flicker of hope in all this darkness.
There is a glimmer of hope, that's for sure, and that's what keeps us going.
It does this whole deep dive. It's been really eye-opening.
It has.
We've seen just how devastating nature can be,
The sheer power of it.
but also that incredible strength of human connection.
The way people come together.
It makes you think, how can we be better prepared for stuff like this in the future?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Like, how can we make sure the response is as effective as it can be?
That's what we need to be focusing on.
We do. Because like you said earlier, these climate-related disasters,
They're not going away.
they're not.
They're likely to become even more frequent and intense.
So what can we do, like, as individuals?
Well, we can stay informed, for one thing.
Right. Keep up with what's happening.
Support organizations that are doing relief work.
Yeah, donate if we can.
Donate if you can, and, volunteer our time and skills when possible.
Even small things can help.
Absolutely. Every little bit makes a difference.
It really does. This episode, it's been a lot to take in.
It has been heavy, but
It's a powerful reminder of,
what?
human compassion,
Yeah,
the hope for recovery,
that enduring hope.
and we can't forget about that Dana Desaparecidos page either.
It's still out there.
It is. It's still active. It's still helping people. So if this deep dive has resonated with you at all,
Take a look.
maybe take a look at the page. Maybe there's a way you can help, even from afar.
Every bit counts.
Every bit helps.